Yeah. So like they got Candace Lawler gonna be first, look like. So who go first? Look like Candace. But that's the name they got on here first. It's our people. Candace, see? Okay, breathe. Yeah. That she seen. Yeah, I already seen it. We can already have a attorney where I can run it. I know we want to have to be convenient. And I just, because I just got to introduce myself and then. Come on, Candace. You can sit there, not on there, you do there, where you already be sitting there when they come. Let me get those. I ain't have no phone, but. Is this top page right here? Over here. No. I think it's loading. Yeah, it's loading.
Yeah. Can you hear it?
Good morning.
Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Right. The Committee on Parole is called to order. Today's date is May 20th, 2025, and the time is 9:05 a.m. My name is Danny Barra, serving as your chairman today. My colleagues on today's panel are Ms. Stapleton to my left and Mr. Prater on Zoom. Today's panel is at headquarters in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Headquarters staff, please introduce yourself for the record. Today, our remote location is the Louisiana Transition Center. With the staff at Louisiana Transition Center, please introduce yourself for the record.
LaTanya Chase, reentry facilitator. I'll be the only one this morning. Miss April is out.
Thank you. All right. Brief explanation of the process. I'll give you some information and ask you to verify it. We'll give you a chance to speak and tell us what caused your incarceration and why you should be released. The warden at the facility will have opportunity to speak, but give information. We'll allow public comments, 3 supporters and 3 opposition. If the DA is present, he'll speak. And then we'll conduct the parole interview. Ms. Stapleton will be asking the questions. She's assigned the case. So let's begin. Today we have for parole consideration Candace Lawler, DOC 711483, who's a 4th felony offender, who was convicted of multiple drug charges and is considered an habitual offender. And on 9/7/22 was sentenced to serve 12 years hard labor and 5 years hard labor concurrent in St. Tammany Parish. The parole eligibility date is 4/5/25. Your good time date is not applicable because of the habitual offender status. Your full term date is 4/6/34. Does that information sound correct to you, Ms. Lawler?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here's your chance to tell us why you think we should be releasing you. And first tell us, what did you do to get yourself in jail on a 12-year sentence?
I was on drugs.
On drugs, selling drugs, more than that?
I was selling drugs. I'm using drugs.
And why do you think today should be a good day to parole someone uses and selling drugs? What have you changed since then?
I feel like I learned my lesson. I feel like I don't need to use drugs no more. And sell drugs and all that. That's the past in my life, but I put that behind me.
Is that all you?
You said that all you have to say? Yes, sir.
All right. When the warden or the jail staff tell us how she's been there and if y'all have any comments to add regarding the parole decision?
I really can't speak a lot about her because she's not in any of my classes. She's been here 3 years, right? You've been here 3 years. 3 years. Yeah, she don't have any write-ups or anything. She seemed to comply by the rules and everything, but other than that, I really can't speak on her because I hadn't had her in any classes or anything. She said she's been writing to get in classes. She don't have a job or anything, so that's about all I can tell you. I've been writing since I've been here, and they said that my time's too long.
Okay. Today we have some people in support here at headquarters, speaking in support. So we're going to take Miss Beverly Lawler, your mother, first. Would you please step up to the podium and tell us what you got to tell us about Candace?
I believe Candace should be able to come home.
Can you speak up just a little bit?
I believe Candace should be able to come home. She's been through a lot. She has a drug issue, yes. But I think this time that she's been in there, she lost her father and almost lost me at the same time a year ago. And I think that has really made her realize life is important. The drugs are not. Her family's important. And I need her to be there to help me continue recovering also, and she needs to recover from her father's death too. I really think that she'll be a big help, and she's got a very strong support system. Me, her brother, her sister, her brother-in-law, we're all here to help her in any way that she needs help. If she needs to go to rehab, we're there to put her there. And we're gonna really back her up, make her stay straight, because I think she's learned that life means more than drugs.
Are you the person she's going to live with?
Yes. She will be living with
Does
me.
anyone at your house, has anyone at your house been convicted of any felony?
No, there's no one at my house but me.
Okay.
Her dad was there, but like I said, I just lost him. So it's just me.
All
I
right.
wanted to ask you a question. You talk about going to rehab. That's voluntary on a person, other than if it's a condition. But she's had a drug problem for a long, long time, a serious drug problem. Were y'all ever able to in the past
No,
get her to go to rehab? She wasn't interested in.
She tried an outpatient program for a little bit, like going every evening, a long time ago, but then she didn't continue. But this time I know she's willing to go be locked up if she has to, in a rehab to keep from doing drugs again. Whatever it's gonna take her to not do what she's been doing in the past is what she's gonna do now. She should have done it a long time ago, but sometimes you have to learn the hard way. And losing her dad is just devastating her. That was her, her best friend. And that really woke her up to realizing things you're losing because you're choosing that lifestyle.
How long ago was it that she lost her father?
Last year.
Oh my goodness, okay. So she was
What
locked up during
happened
that
is,
time.
I found him at home dead.
Mhm.
I had a heart attack and stroke
Oh my
right
goodness,
at the same time. So
wow.
she's almost like this one, so she almost lost me.
Oh my goodness.
So it's made her really realize and open up her eyes and say, hey, drugs are not worth that.
Thank you for talking to us.
All right. We also have Crystal Rogue, a sister here at headquarters who would like to speak. Right.
Try to hold it together. My sister really is a great person. She just was a drug addict who got caught up in the system and all of that. But I know after everything we've been through that if she had another chance to come home and be with us and help, I know now that she will never touch drugs ever again. And I'm just asking y'all to just consider letting her come home with us because she really is deep down a good person. She just was a drug addict.
All right. Thank you. We also have Mr. Kyle Johnson, a brother-in-law.
He doesn't want to talk.
I'm good, I was just here to get to here.
Yeah, I was just putting you on the record. You're in support, right?
Sir?
You're in support of this, right?
Yes, sir.
So we have Mr. Kyle Johnson here in support, but not speaking. We do have some law enforcement opposition. The district attorney's office is opposed, calling you a drug dealer. Sheriff's office is opposed. And the attorney general's office is opposed to early release. Your case has been assigned to Ms. Stapleton, who's going to ask you a few questions and And the rest of the board will take a few questions too. So go ahead, Ms. Davis, let me start out.
Okay, Ms. Lawler, I was looking over your, criminal history, and it looks like at least, it says probation 2017 violation. So when was your first arrest for drugs? What year?
Not exactly sure what year. I was 35.
You were 35, you don't know what year? I mean, you don't know how many, you don't know what year, okay. Well, I got 17 that you violated probation. So it was at least in 2017, possibly before that. So why didn't you go to drug rehab?
I was never offered no drug rehab.
You didn't want to go on your own?
Yeah, I went, but I was on drugs. I mean, I was caught up in the game.
Okay. What about you selling it?
I was paying for my habit.
Did you ever think about the victims when you were selling?
No, ma'am, I didn't. I was just caught up in doing drugs.
Okay, you served 3 years of the 12-year sentence.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so you've used some very serious drugs. Why don't you tell me what all drugs you liked? Because I have it listed here, a lot of them, so you tell me.
I was on heroin, and then I got off of heroin, and I got on meth, crystal meth.
Where does the fentanyl come in? Just selling it, or did you ever use any of it?
No, that was actually mixed with the heroin.
The fentanyl was mixed with the heroin, and that's what you sold, and I guess you used that also.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, okay, tell me about your classes. I've got some classes, but I don't know if it's offered there, substance abuse class. Is that offered where you're at, or is it not offered?
Yes, ma'am, it is. It is.
Why haven't you taken that?
Because I wrote for classes, and they don't give you classes until your last year.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand what you just said. Excuse me. Go ahead and say it again.
I said I wrote for classes. They don't give you classes until your last year.
Warden, that's what happens? They don't get a class to their last year?
No, that's not true.
That's what they said.
No, but that's not accurate. So, no.
Okay, how long is the class? Is it weeks, months, or what do y'all?
It's months, like reentry is 3 months. I also teach living in balance is 3 months. We have like T4C, and I think that's 3 months as well. Yeah, that's all 3 months.
I would be willing to take the classes, but they don't offer them for me because my time's too long.
And the warden, she said that that's not true. Would she be able to be enrolled in those classes?
Yes, she will be. I mean, we have a certain way that we have to do things. We can't, it's per DOC the way that we put them in classes. It's not when the last year. I mean, I don't know why she hadn't been in classes. But she will be in classes eventually. When, I don't know. That's up to the transition specialist that's here.
Okay, all right, let's move along. And it says here on your assessment that you need substance abuse training and that you need anger management. And that you don't have a discharge plan. Have you completed pre-release?
I have a discharge plan
Oh, you do? All right, tell me about it.
about where I'm living.
Your discharge plan, where you plan, yeah.
I plan on living with my mom.
All right, well, that's
I plan on going back to work and helping her.
you going back to work at what? I'm sorry?
No, I'm going back to work at my old job. At
Okay.
51.
All right. So, yeah, your mom, I know you have wonderful family support here today. And you said that you have your old job. Okay, Mr. Byron, do you have any questions?
Well, it's Mr. Prater.
Mr. Prater, do you have any questions? I'm sorry.
No, I'm prepared to vote.
We go into.
I don't have any questions.
All right, real quickly, we're gonna go into executive session, okay?
I second.
Flowers,
Yes.
Stapleton,
Yes.
Prater.
Yes.
Yes.
Flowers,
Yes.
Stapleton,
Yes.
Prater.
Yes, I'm sorry.
All right. Board's called back to order. The board is ready to vote. We'll begin with Ms. Stapleton, who is assigned the case.
Ms. Lawler, I think it's wonderful that you got such good family support here. But today, I'm gonna have to, not grant your parole, and this is why. You've only served 3 years of the 12-year sentence and you're a habitual offender. And, law enforcement opposition and the drugs and the selling, the type of drugs you were selling is so egregious. You know, it is a danger to society. And I would like to see you get, substance abuse treatment while you're incarcerated. So, you have an extensive criminal history. So for those reasons, I'm not going to grant you parole today.
Mr. Prater?
concur with those reasons, and I'd like to see you get some kind of victim awareness classes or something to realize just exactly you're making a bunch of people out there turn into people just like yourself. And by selling drugs to them, especially these types of drugs, my vote's to deny this parole request.
And I was gonna vote to grant your parole on the condition that you would get substance abuse treatment while you were in jail before you release, and that you would be on electronic monitoring once released for 6 months and be on anger management, but that does not count because you already have 2 votes to deny parole. So today, your parole has been denied. I suggest that you try to do some of those classes that we talked about while you're there, so that on your next appearance, you'll be able to have that done, and that would make a difference for sure. This concludes our business today with Ms. Lawler.
So, we can or whatever.
Good morning. Can you hear me? We can't hear you. Can you unmute?
There you go.
Okay, we can hear you now.
All right.
All right. The Committee on Parole is called back to order. Today's date is May 20th, 25. The time is 9:35 a.m. We're still at headquarters, still at the same remote location at Louisiana Transition Center, but now we're dealing with Ms. Joanna Henley. Would you please state your full name and DOC number for the record?
Joanna Nicole Henley, 607703.
All right. I'm going to give you a brief explanation of the process. First, I'm going to read some information into the record, ask you to verify it. We'll give you a chance to speak, where you tell us what you did to cause your incarceration and why you think you should be released. Then we'll have the warden give us a little input. We'll have input from people in support. We'll have input from people who are opposed, and then we'll conduct an interview. The case has been assigned to Mr. Prater. He's going to conduct the interview and ask you the first set of questions. So let's begin. Today, we have for parole consideration Joanna Henley, DOC number 607703, who is a third felony offender, who was convicted of possession of Schedule I drug without a prescription that contains heroin/fentanyl, and was convicted of possession of Schedule III drugs without a prescription, habitual offender, and on 1/4/23 was sentenced to serve 3 years hard labor, suspended, and put on probation that was revoked on May 22nd, 24 in St. Tammany Parish. Your parole eligibility date is January 27, 25. Your full term date is April 22nd, 27. Does that information sound correct to you, Ms. Henley?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, so it's your turn. Tell us, what do you do to get yourself in the situation you're in? And why do you think today is a good day for us to vote to release you on parole?
I was a drug addict. I've been using since I was 12 years old, and that's what put me in the situation I was in, because I was under the influence, and I thought it was okay to break the laws. Why I think I should be granted parole is because I'm rehabilitated. I'm not the same person. I want to be a productive citizen of society. I want to be an upstanding citizen of society. I want to give back to my community. I'm just not the same person I was. Drugs really had my mind just thinking it was okay to do what I was doing, and it's not. If I'm released, I'm ready to give back to my community, and I'm just not the same person I was.
All right. Warden, do you have any input or knowledge about her behavior or classes completed there?
She hadn't been in any classes, and as far as her behavior, she don't have any write-ups either. So that's all I know about her. She don't have any write-ups, and she hadn't been in any classes.
Okay. All right. Today we have in support Renee Holden, a mentor on Zoom. So let's hear from Miss Renee.
Hey, how are you doing this morning?
Good.
I'm Renee Hoda. I am one of the directors at Jacobs Well Recovery Center for women in Poplarville, Mississippi. Joanna had went through our program from September of 2023 until April of 2024. After completion, she lived with her sister. She allowed me to continue to mentor her this entire time she's been incarcerated. She has reached out, and I feel trying to do the right thing. She was signed up for Pearl River Community College. She would have started May of last year in the welding course, but I encouraged her to handle her attachments and things like that. And she agreed. And so she did go see her PO willingly in St. Tammany. And, of course, she got incarcerated due to the consequences of her actions. And I really feel she understands that. And I'm not making any excuses for her. I understand that. I feel that she's sorry for everything that she has done and that she does want to do something different. I know she has not completed any classes there. She had sent me a letter stating that she was not able to, but she has some certificates I had mailed into y'all. I'm not sure if y'all had received them or not, but there's about 6 that I have on me right now. Certificates that she has completed since she has been there.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We also have in support who wants to speak on Zoom, a sister named Jessica Henley. Can we go to Jessica next?
Good morning. My name is Jessica Henley. I feel like Joanna should come home because, oh gosh, I'm so nervous to talk in front of everybody. That she deserves to come home because she messed up a couple years ago with our biological mom, who is also on drugs. Both of our parents are, and she was going to college. She had everything set out, doing right, and she was living with me, and she was off of drugs, and she was clean for a year or two, and then she had charges with Louisiana, so of course she had to go back and do her time. But she really does deserve to come home.
Right. Thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, we don't have anybody here to speak in opposition, but we do have opposition from law enforcement. We have the district attorney's office that's opposed, the sheriff's office that's opposed, and the attorney general was not contacted. So you have a little opposition from the sheriff's office there and the district attorney. Your case has been assigned to Mr. Prater, and he's going to ask you some questions and cast the first vote. So go ahead, Mr. Prater.
Good morning, Miss Henley. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine. One of the conditions of getting out of jail is get on a parole is you have to have pre-release programming, some kind of educational achievement, substance abuse treatment, and the 12-step program. Those are some of the conditions that we like to see. What have you had as far as education or vocational achievements?
I've written repeatedly trying to get in classes here, sir, and I wasn't able to do that. But I went on Edovu up on our tablet, and I got six certificates for Rising Strong, a substance use recovery course, for anger management, for critical thinking, for better judgment and decision making, introduction to the second opportunity programs, a reentry class, introduction to changing your game plan, the blueprint to success during and after incarceration, and prison reentry network part 1. I have 6 certificates. I sent them off to y'all. I wasn't able to get in classes, so I went and took classes online.
Yes, ma'am. I have them. I have those. But where did you take those classes?
We have a tablet here and we have an app on it called Edovu.
Okay, was that there I'm having a little trouble hearing you with the echo. Was that there at the jail that you took them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so are you in any kind of NA or AA treatment?
No, sir. I've written trying to get up in there, but the how this place is run, they don't really put you in classes until you're in your last year.
Well, that's the same thing we heard a minute ago, but I don't know that that's exactly true. But let's move on. You're a third offender.
Yes, sir.
And you pled guilty to being a multiple offender.
Yes, sir.
That's correct.
Yes, sir.
And you're wanting to get out, and you just got revoked a year ago.
Yes,
and
sir.
now, I mean, in other words, you had a drug charge, you got a probation, Then you got caught with more drugs, so you were revoked off of that probation. Now, a year later, you're wanting to get out, but you've got a lot of criminal history in the past. I don't understand what makes you think this is different. You say you're a new person, but I'm sure you've said that. If we went back and listened to any of the other statements that you made, I'm sure you've always said you're another person, you're a new person. How do we, I mean,
I think
convince me, because
I think this time is different, sir. Not only have I stayed clean up in this year incarcerated, but I was clean a year before I was incarcerated. I was enrolled in Parole Community College for welding, sir. I mean, I really was clean out there. I really was going to report. I mean, I came over here to Louisiana trying to right my wrongs, and you know, I walked up and I passed my drug test whenever I got to St. Tammany Parish. I really have been clean. I really, when my mind's on drugs, I mean, I'm a completely different person, truly. I mean, really.
but you went through I think I added up the months right. You went through a 7-month program that the other, I think Renee may have told us about. You went through a program, and then right at that program's end, you were caught with more drugs.
No, sir, I was not. I was never caught with drugs. Jacob, I was never.
I thought you were caught with drugs, and that's how they found out you had absconded. Is that not correct?
No, sir. No, sir. That was while I was in Jacob's Well. Whenever I went in front of the judge, I had a possession charge. You know, prior to that, I never was caught with drugs in Jacob's Well.
No, sir, she was not.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know, because I wrote down here that you were on probation, but you absconded, and you were stopped in a vehicle, and drugs were found on you, and you were arrested, and that's when they found the warrant for being absconded.
Yes, sir, that's true. Then I went to Millard, and when I went in front of the judge, I went to Jacob's Well, and I completed that program and was clean for a year prior to being locked up here.
Okay, so if you were clean for a year, why did you get put back in jail?
Because whenever I came over here to face when I absconded, sir, that's why I'm locked up, because I absconded, and whenever I went to Mississippi, you know, I caught that new charge. The judge sentenced me to Jacob's Well, while I wasn't able to go back to Mississippi because I was in their program. Then whenever I got out of their program, I went to Louisiana. I got a pass from my parole officer in Mississippi, and I came over here and went to St. Tammany's probation and parole, and they locked me up for before Jacob's Well.
Joanna, tell me, when is the last time you got caught with illegal drugs?
2020, 24, 23. When did I come to Jacob's Well, Renee?
September of 23 until April of 24.
Okay, well then, sir, it was September, well then it was June 2023.
And you were revoked in April of 25, a year ago, correct?
Okay.
And then what was the revocation for?
For me absconding, and catching another charge in Mississippi.
And getting another charge in Mississippi, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what was that charge in Mississippi?
Paraphernalia and a drug charge.
It was a drug charge, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
So that was in April of 25, you had a drug charge, is that correct?
No, sir.
Okay, well, that's why I'm confused, and I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just trying to understand.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I caught another drug charge in 2023 up in Mississippi. And I was running from probation from over here. And that is my last drug charge that I caught.
Okay. And so
And then
how did they?
Okay,
and-
after I caught my drug charge, I wasn't able to come back over here to to Louisiana because I was in a rehab in Mississippi. And it was, you know, 7 months or however long I was there. And whenever I was when I got out, you know, I went to Parole Community College, got enrolled in school, and I came over here to Louisiana, and that's whenever I got revoked because from, you know, a year before that, I was on the run. I was never able to take care of Louisiana because I was trying to take care of Mississippi.
Do you have any current drug charges in Mississippi outstanding?
No, sir. No, I have no holes, no, sir, none of that.
Okay. Let me look at something here,
Yes, sir.
if you don't mind. So you got 3 years of hard labor on the 24th. Your full-time date is the 27th.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, I think I'm pretty straight with it. So what would maybe I can ask the warden, but before I would even consider, I have to know that you've been through that you're doing something currently in the last year to keep yourself straight. Have you been going to any NA or AA, or is that what you said you couldn't do while you're there?
No, sir, they don't offer NA here, but I just been taking these classes online, and I got the certificates, just substance abuse classes, you know, from my past drug problem, the reentry, because I know you know, just I need to be reentry into the free world, you know. Anger management. I try to take them online because I couldn't get in them in Tallulah.
Okay. That's all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Ms. Stapleton, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
I just have one question. How long has it been that you've been in jail since the time? And let me run it through real quick and see if I'm understanding right. You're on probation in Louisiana. You absconded to Mississippi. You got another charge over there. You got convicted over there. You got sentenced over there.
I haven't been, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, sir. I haven't been convicted. They sent me to Jacob's Well, and I've never been able to go back in front of the judge. I think he was gonna throw it out. I got sentenced to Jacob's Well, and I came over here as soon as I got out of Jacob's Well to take care of this, so I've never been able to get back in front of the judge.
Okay, so you have unfinished business in Mississippi, but you went over there and you did rehab for them for that charge.
Yes, sir.
And then you decided it was time to get it straight with Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
And you came back to Louisiana before you finished your court in Mississippi, and your parole officer down here locked you up for absconding.
Yes, sir.
And then you've been held since then till now.
Yes, sir.
And then once you finish with us right here, you still got to go back to Mississippi and finish with them.
Yes, sir. I was gonna try to do, there's a sober living over here. And I'm good with my parole. I was gonna get my parole to switch to over here, but I was gonna do a sober living over here in West Monroe.
Okay, and so how long has it been since you came back to Louisiana and you got put in jail in Louisiana for the absconding charge? From then till now, how long has it been?
May 1st, last year.
Last year?
Yes, sir.
That was my only question.
Okay, and the last time that you got a drug charge was when exactly? Tell me that.
2023.
2022?
2023, sir.
2023 was your last drug charge.
Yes,
And
sir.
that was in Mississippi.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The charge that I caught over there, sir, Judge Harold said that after I completed Jacob's Well that he was gonna throw it out. So I haven't been convicted of that. I never got a chance, to get back in front of him, cause I came over here to Louisiana, trying to, fix this.
Because your probation officer, parole officer, whatever, contacted them and the charges are still outstanding. And so you do need to take care of that when you do get out, but you know all that. I'm just making sure that you understand.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
One more question. Your drug charge in Mississippi, how much drugs was involved and how did that go down quickly?
Sir, I had a syringe and I had, not even a 0.2 of crystal meth. A bag in my book bag. They pulled me and my dad over, but I didn't have a seatbelt on.
And how did it go down? How did the police find it? What was happening?
Whenever he pulled me over,
Traffic stop?
yes, sir.
All right. That's all the questions I have.
Mr. Chairman, let me ask you a question because you're familiar with the process. In the parole eligibility worksheet, it talks about substance abuse treatment and it says no. It's checked no in there, yet she has the paperwork that says she did some substance abuse. Can you explain why that possibly is it not honored? Is what she took not honored or something?
Well, that's probably, I'm not gonna say it's not honored. That's probably part of the confusion because it was online classes and it wasn't in Louisiana.
Yeah.
So
I've done them in Louisiana, sir. I've done them while I've been incarcerated here.
She took them here while she'd been in jail.
well, I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay, I was just curious. Maybe it's because they're online and not offered by the institution there.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. She took those classes online and not within the facility.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was curious because that was part of my problem with this particular case. Okay.
But in those situations, that condition we're talking about, it could be added as a condition before release if we wanted to make sure that got done in an acceptable program.
Okay. All right, I'm prepared to vote, Mr. Chairman.
All right, well, it's your case. Go ahead.
Okay. I think I think it'd be best to give her a chance and to parole her. And Mr. Chairman, if you would put that condition on her since that you can word it better than I.
All right. Ms. Stapleton?
I concur with Mr. Prater.
All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and concur and grant also under the condition that you complete the substance abuse program prior to your release, the Louisiana program prior to your release. So they might have to ship you somewhere else to finish completing it, but you're gonna have to complete the Louisiana substance abuse program before release, that you be placed on electronic monitoring for the first 6 months of supervision. If you're successful with no violations in 6 months, you can be removed. If you're not successful, for every one violation you have, we add 1 month of electronic monitoring.
Yes, sir.
And that would be the conditions I would add. So today,
Okay, Mr. Chairman, could I add one more?
sure.
I would say that upon release that she be allowed to go to Mississippi or whatever it takes, and we make that perfectly clear so she can get that business straight over there.
That's going to be achieved by a travel permit through the probation and parole office. And so we don't want to give you the false impression that you can travel to Mississippi based on our say so. You're going to have to go to the parole office, request permission to go get a written travel permit and have it in your possession to be 100%. I think your condition's well intended, Mr. Prater, but I think it's not what we need. Sorry.
Thank you.
All right, so today, this concludes our business. Your parole has been granted conditionally, and you'll be released once you complete the program for Louisiana. And the other special conditions will apply after that. So this concludes our business today at the Louisiana Transition Center. And time is 9:59 a.m.
Thank y'all.
Ooh.
Can y'all hear me down there?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, we hear you too. Good. The
Yes, good
Committee on
morning.
Parole. I hear you. Committee on Parole is called to order. Today's date is May the 20th, 2025, and the time is 10:14 a.m. My name is Danny Barra, serving as your chairman today. My colleagues on today's panel are Ms. Stapleton to my left, Mr. Prater on Zoom. The panel today at headquarters in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Headquarters, please introduce yourself for the record. Today, our remote location is Ascension Parish Jail. Any staff in the room, could you please introduce yourself, Ascension Jail staff?
Sergeant Logan Brown.
Sergeant Brown, thank you for hosting us. And you would be Mr. Preston, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please introduce yourself by giving me your full name and your DOC number.
My name is Richard Preston. My DOC number is 764067.
Right. I'm looking at your paperwork previously completed by probation and parole, and they have been determined that you were ineligible for appointed counsel at their preliminary hearing, which would mean you're ineligible for appointed counsel at our hearing too. We will, you understand the violations and why you're here?
Yes, sir.
Right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read you each of the violations like they did. You've already heard these at your preliminary hearing. And I'm going to ask you again to tell us whether you respond like saying you're guilty. Guilty with a statement means you want to explain it, or not guilty, and or not guilty with a statement also. So you get to give us a statement on each one. Start out with the first one, number 4. Says, I will not engage in criminal activity, nor will I associate with people known to involved in criminal activity. I will avoid bars and casinos, and I will remain from illegal use of alcohol and drugs. It is alleged that you have violated the condition of your parole supervision as evidenced by your arrest by the St. Charles Sheriff's Office on November 23rd, 24, after being charged with possession or carrying of a firearm by a person convicted of a felony, manufacture, distribution of Schedule 1, possession of marijuana, operating a vehicle with a suspended license, operating a vehicle while intoxicated, careless operation of a motor vehicle, fugitive from St. John Parish Sheriff's Office, 2 warrants for simple assault. Your charges in the 29th Judicial District Court of St. Charles Parish were resolved on January 1st, 25, resulting in the District Attorney's Office refusing to prosecute you on the firearm charge and resulting in the conviction of a crime for DWI first offense, careless operation, and no driver's license on the person. As of the date of the initial service, your criminal charges of 2 counts of simple assault are still pending. How do you plead to that? Guilty? Guilty with a statement? Not guilty?
Not guilty.
All right, we'll address those with Ms. Stapleton. The next charge is condition number 5. Though not having possession or control of any firearms or dangerous weapons, it is alleged that you have violating the condition of your parole supervision as evidenced by your arrest by St. Charles on November 23rd, 24, by being charged with possession of a firearm or carrying a concealed weapon, person convicted of a felony. And that charge was refused by the district attorney's office on January 9th, 2025. How do you plead to that one?
Not guilty.
Guilty. And condition number 10, that you didn't pay your parole supervision fees monthly as you were ordered, and that you, as of 1/25/24, were behind $693. How do you plead to that one?
Guilty.
Okay. I'm going to turn the case over to Ms. Stapleton, who's the lead person in your case, and she's going to review these violations and ask you some questions.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir, first one, concerned the felony for the drug. You're saying not to that?
Excuse me, could you repeat the question?
Oh, the, first one, number 4, that operating a vehicle with suspended license and other offenses, you and possession of the firearm. You're saying you weren't guilty of that?
If I may respond, I'm retained counsel for Mr. Preston. I wanted to note here that I sent to the board this morning a copy of an affidavit which I received from his attorney in St. Charles Parish, Maria Chesson. The affidavit explains why the district attorney refused that charge. It's from an individual who was with Mr. Preston on November 22nd, 23rd of 2024. That individual says they were intoxicated. He had a gun in his waistband. It fell out in the car Mr. Preston was driving. He says Mr. Preston had no knowledge of it. And I'm going to let Mr. Preston address what he plans to do about his problems with alcohol. But the gun charge was refused based on that affidavit. And I just wanted to make the board aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you. I have here that that was part of a plea bargain, but it wasn't.
What? No, he pled guilty to a misdemeanor DWI in St. Charles Parish, but the district attorney's office, after reviewing the affidavit and speaking to this person, James, who was with him, they refused the charge. It wasn't plea bargained. It was, the prosecution was refused because the evidence indicated that Mr. Preston never knew the gun was there.
Okay, well, let me ask you. So driving a vehicle while intoxicated.
Yes, ma'am.
You got another person that supposedly was in the vehicle with you says that's exactly what you were doing.
And he pled guilty to that, ma'am.
Yeah, I saw that on the original report. Now he's saying not guilty. So
I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't understand the question. They had noise in the background that I wasn't really fully aware of.
Operating a vehicle while intoxicated, careless operation of a motor vehicle. And then you heard the rest. You had 2 warrants for simple assault. So there was other things, but operating a vehicle, DWI, first offense.
I pled guilty. Yes,
Oh,
I'm sorry. I couldn't really fully understand.
I had that you had originally pled guilty. Okay, so we got that one down.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and then we come to the charge of simple assault and telephone communication in Ascension Parish, which was not crossed. They didn't prosecute you for it, but the lady involved with it, I think she's here today. Did she want to speak? I mean, on Zoom. Ms. Sanchez, did you want to speak before I say anything? Ms. Sanchez?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go right ahead. Because I'm wondering what you have to say about it, because you called the police.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question. I couldn't hear.
All right, I'm wondering what you have to say about the improper telephone communications And, you know, there was a lot of texts. They were very violent and they were against your life.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about that. You said you were scared to death.
It was a misidentity. So it wasn't him.
How do you know it was?
Excuse me?
How do you know it wasn't him?
Because I was working at like the store, a dollar store. I was a store manager, and I caught these two girls stealing or whatever, and they kept coming back looking for me, trying to fight me, like sending me threatening text messages where my district manager had to get involved and stuff like that. It was like different text-free numbers and stuff like that. So when I figured out it was them, that's when I tried like to, call the police back, but I couldn't. They already had the warrant out.
Well, let me ask you something. Okay, as far as these types of phone calls, I have that there was one, and police will call. That's the only reason I got them.
Mm-hmm.
21, 9324, 92824, 10824, and 11025 that police was called. So that seems like a pattern of conduct there to me, of threat. And you were scared, and you said it was him in every single case.
Yeah, that's what I thought at that time.
Well, how were these people involved in going all the way back to 2021 and all the other phone calls?
Wait, excuse me?
Look, I've got that you had a phone call back in June of 2021. And then 2024, there were 3 separate phone calls, and then 125. So when did you get these people in trouble?
So in 2021, I'm understanding that was like a long time ago. So I'm not aware of what you're talking about in 2021.
Okay, what about the other ones? Multiple phone calls in 2024 and then in 2025.
And when in 2025? I just had a baby in 2025. I didn't call the cops in 2025.
Okay.
And I just explained to you what happened in 2024. I was 7 months pregnant at the time.
You said that, and so you're saying there was just one phone call made during that time?
Excuse me?
You said there was just one phone call made to you from him? Because there was discussion about you getting a restraining order, and you said you were too afraid.
Yeah, I thought that was him sending me the text messages.
Well, undoubtedly, the police thought it was true because they told you that we're in a relationship and you had a child together, but Louisiana law states that they're required charges by the state, a criminal domestic violence incident, even if the victim wishes to, regardless of whether you wish to press charges. So at the time, they were looking at these text messages and they pressed charges too.
Well, yeah, ma'am. I was 7 months pregnant at the time. So, yeah.
What about you say you thought that he was following you to the sheriff's office?
Yeah, and that wasn't him. I was pregnant. Like, I was going through so many emotions. And when I figured out who was actually texting me, I got to the bottom of it. But the following me, I think he was at work and he was at home. But it wasn't him. Because his mom had called me that same night, But once you're pregnant, you go through a lot of emotions and stuff like that. So you want to be careful. So that's why I was talking about the restraining order, because I didn't know who it was.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Was anybody else supposed to speak? Everybody, okay. So let me hear from Amisha Preston, please. Ms. Preston, are you there? Uh-oh, we can't hear you. It might be on mute or something. Still can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
You?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, before I start, because I had wrote a little statement that I wanted to say, but before I start, let me comment on the section where she said that I had called her. One night, and this was in particular of the time when she said that he was following her.
Right.
Well, her auntie called me. Was she ended up reaching through Facebook to me one night, and this was like about 1 or 2 something in the morning. And when her auntie reached out to me, she asked me to call her. So I called her, and when I called her, she asked me, she said, "Have you found your son?" And I was like, "What you mean you found my son?" And she said, because Natia pressed charges, she called the police on him, saying that he was following her. And I'm like, Richard is here, because he had to go to work that morning. I said, Richard is here. So me and my husband got up, and I was telling him what happened. So she told me, she said, well, reach out to my auntie. So she gave me the auntie phone number. So I called the auntie, but she didn't answer the phone. So I was letting them verify that Richard was at home and he had to go to work early that morning. So he was not the person, whoever she was saying that followed her or whatever, because he was at home at that time. But now I'm about to address, well, then I did call her about it, and I guess she found out who it was or whatever. But now I'm about to read the statement that I also wrote, which I was saying, good morning. My name is Demetria Preston. I'm Richard Preston's mom. I want to start out by saying I know my son has made some mistakes in his life, as well as we all have in time. He went from being this calm, cool, talented, popular guy to being a depressed and, at the time, difficult man. He lost his way, but when he got out of jail the last time, he was figuring things out. He started working at Riverburg, a job he loved going to. He spent long hours doing his shift and also picking up other shifts. His boss and all the people that was surrounded him loved him. Spending time with his daughter Riley, trying to be a good father. Now he has 2 children that need him and that he has to provide for. Richard Lil Ricky, as we affectionately call him now, sees things through a clearer lens now. He knows and understands the risk of not being on the straight and narrow. My son has a great support system. He has a job that's waiting for him. They continuously calls me, asking me, and like I told him, it's a procedure that he has to go through. He has 2 children who needs him, that's depending on him. He's ready and needed at home because he knows how important it is to do the right thing and to stay out of trouble. And I want to thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Okay, then we have, maybe it's Taj James. Am I correct with that pronunciation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What would you like to say, sir?
Well, can I speak on regarding the affidavit?
Yeah, speak.
All right. And regarding that, again, I want to say I apologize to Laricky. He came, give me a ride after work. I work at a barbershop. I was closing late that night. And I asked him if he can take me to the Ace's food spot to get some seafood. Later, after he picked me up, and we stayed about like an hour or 2, he dropped me home. I was gathering things. I realized I left my firearm in his car. And when I was trying to call him, he had already been pulled over and things like that. But like I said, I'm sorry. Kind of held that heavy on my heart in that situation. And it fell out of my waistband. I don't usually carry security reasons leaving from the barbershop. Yeah. That's it.
What should I say? He's not even, not that we see, he's not talking. It might be a delay. Are you talking? I don't see you talking.
Oh yeah, my service was kind of bad.
That's inside.
Did you get the last part?
The lawyer have anything to say about what this man's trying to say because it's not coming through.
Well, yes, thank you. His affidavit basically explains what happened. And our position is not, we're not saying that Mr. Preston didn't do anything wrong. I mean, obviously, he has a problem with alcohol. He acknowledges that. I'm going to let him address what he plans to do about that. But the affidavit that Mr. Taj James signed explained that he had a gun in his waistband that fell out in Richard Preston's car, and that Richard didn't know he had it, and he dropped Mr. James off at his house, and then Mr. James is saying he tried to call to tell Richard that he had dropped the gun, but Richard got stopped by the sheriff's office and arrested. And like I said, he pled guilty to the DWI, and I'm going to let him address that problem.
Oh, thank you, sir. Okay, let's see. Got everybody on the list now. All right, so we're back to Preston. What would you like to say about these charges?
Well, it was a lot of things that was left unsaid with certain situations, and I would like to address them each like individually. Like if you can go backwards.
Okay, please.
Excuse me, to Miss Natia. I had just recently got back home from doing a prison stint, and we actually got back together. We had another child together, and during that time, we separated when she became pregnant. And I also let my parole officer know the situation that was arising from us. And I didn't see my kid for about 6-7 months while I was out, and kind of left that part out. But those messages that are calls that was kind of unexplainable.
Right.
I acknowledge some of them, but the cops, I don't believe the cops got a threatening message from me as far as the phone call, because I always called addressing my kids. I always wanted to see my kids and talking about my kids. And I never followed her. I was always at work. I have the work schedule. It states me being clocked in, punched in during that time. But when I got stopped with the gun, Todd James, I'm assuming he left it in because when we were at the club, I did have one drink, and I can admit to that because I kind of fell asleep at the red light. And excuse me, I'm kind of.
So what about the marijuana that was in your pocket?
That was I had a legal marijuana card that I actually got. Excuse me?
You had marijuana for your medical condition?
Well, I had a legal marijuana card. That was actually my parole officer actually told me to get the medical card to avoid getting negative drug tests for THC, which I actually have in text messages from Mr. Jason Ogden. But
Did you
I have.
positive for THC when they pulled you over?
Excuse me, ma'am?
Did you test positive for THC when they pulled you over?
I'm not sure what I test positive for because they never told me when I got to the jail. They never told me, but
Well, just so you know, you did test positive for driving under the influence of marijuana also.
Yes, ma'am.
And they said, police, that Richard Preston reached over towards the passenger seat, towards the firearm.
Yes, ma'am.
Then they told you to stop and that you obeyed and that they could smell marijuana in the car.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
this is all part of the police report. So what you got to say about that?
Okay, it was about 5 o'clock in the morning. I was actually on my way to work. And when I did fall asleep, when I woke up, I was kind of disoriented. And I had the heat on that night. It was a cold night. I had the heat on, so my window was down. And I guess when I woke up, and I kind of noticed the cops like looking around my car, searching around my car. And I just looked over to my passenger seat and I reached over and grabbed. I tried to reach over and grab, but they just stopped me and paused because I was unaware of the gun. I mean, honestly, if I knew a gun was in the car, it wouldn't be on the front seat of a passenger. It wouldn't be on the passenger seat. Let's just be, I'm just being honest, but I had no knowledge of it because it was like 5 o'clock in the morning when I did fall asleep, and the sun wasn't even coming up. I didn't know the gun was in there.
Okay, so, and then on 9/24, you say you didn't send threatening messages to her, but she had with her text that he threatened to kill you, but he sends pictures of the guns, and the police department had those pictures, they saw them. You know anything about that?
No, ma'am. If it was sent from my telephone, then my number would actually be on the top because she didn't have me saved. She didn't have my name saved in her phone during that time. And it was a lot of other people that was calling her, threatening her. She even had her relative, her blood cousin, actually beat her with a gun. So maybe it was him.
Okay, so you weren't part of the pictures of the guns that were sent to her. You don't know anything about that.
My face was not in the gun. No, ma'am. I have no clue about that.
Okay.
And one more thing, the messages that I guess you could say from my social media, she also had access to that. And also her cousin, me and him were real close. He had access to my Facebook page. And I believe that he actually went through my Facebook page because at the time, me and her were going through a situation and he kind of disliked me for the situation. And he also had access to my messages. So maybe he did send the messages himself, which I also explained to Mr. Richard Strix in St. John Parish, who knows the guy really well. So he's kind of familiar with the whole situation with the guy going through social medias because he actually does that a lot.
Okay, well, I'm finished. Mr. Prater or Mr. Bauer have questions?
Mr. Prater, you got any questions? No. Are we ready to vote?
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Stapleton?
Yes, sir. Today, I'm gonna vote to revoke parole, and you pled guilty to the operation of the vehicle with intoxication. So that by itself is enough, and then I guess you pled guilty to not paying your you're in arrears of your, fees?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so, okay. So for sure, number 4, that you plead guilty to, and then number 10.
Mr. Prater?
I concur, revoke. This is one of the craziest stories I've ever heard. All of these things line up in the stars to make him seem guilty. Truth of the matter is, in my opinion, he is guilty of this. My vote is to revoke.
All right. And I'm going to concur with them and also vote to revoke your parole. So today, your parole has been revoked, and this will conclude our business at Ascension Parish Jail at 10:44 a.m.
Could I ask if the board has the power to refer Mr. Preston to alcohol treatment?
That he get DOC approved substance abuse treatment while incarcerated. And you know what? Just to be on the safe side, I would also recommend that you get into a DOC approved DBOP program, which is domestic violence. It's different from anger management because let's just say if you really did do this other thing, you really need to get some help with that. That's all. That's the recommendations.
Can y'all hear me down there at East Baton Rouge?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me? All right, good. Committee on Parole is called to order. Today's date is May 20th, 2025, and the time is 11:09 a.m. My name is Danny Barra, serving as your chairman today. My colleagues on today's panel are Ms. Stapleton to my left and Mr. Prater on Zoom. And the panel is at headquarters in Baton Rouge. Our remote location is East Baton Rouge Parish Prison. Can the staff in the room please introduce themselves for the record?
Lieutenant Nicholas Murphy.
Mr. Murphy, thank you. Anybody else?
That's it.
Okay. How about Mr. Johnson? Is he there?
Which one you want? I got Frank and John Johnson.
I'll take Frank.
Okay, let me grab him.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
There, right there. They're gonna ask you if you have this paper. Is that yours? Yeah. All right, here's Frank.
All right, Mr. Frank, as I said earlier, my name is Danny Barra, serving as your chairman today. I have Ms. Stapleton to my left and Mr. Prater on Zoom. And our remote location is East Baton Rouge Parish Prison. Can you introduce yourself and give me your DOC number?
Yes, sir. My name is Frank Francis, 408638.
You said Frank Francis?
Yes, sir. I had changed my name in 06, so when I'm in the system, it come up as Johnson, but it's legally Francis.
Okay, for today's purposes, I'm gonna put an alias of Frank Francis, but for today's purposes, we're gonna call you Mr. Johnson, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, and your DOC was 403152?
No, sir. 8638.
All right, reviewing your paperwork, it looks like you were not eligible for appointed counsel determined at the preliminary hearing, so you would not be eligible for appointed counsel at this hearing either. You understand what you're here for today and what we're gonna be talking about?
Yes, sir.
All right. The first step is I'm gonna read the violations against you and ask you to make a plea to each one. You can respond by either saying guilty, guilty with a statement, meaning you want to explain it, not guilty, or not guilty with a statement.
Yes,
So
sir.
the first violation that the parole officer alleged you violated is condition number 4. That says you will not be engaged in any criminal activity, nor will you associate with people who are known to be involved in criminal activity, and that you will avoid all bars and casinos, and that you will refrain from the use of alcohol and drugs. Agent Doxey charges that the offender failed to remain from criminal activity as evident by his arrest on 1/30/25 for attempted second-degree murder, simple battery, illegal use of a weapon, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. The offense date for those charges is 1/11/25, and you were subsequently billed in the 19th Judicial District with 2 counts of simple battery. The other charges was dismissed. On 4/8/25, under docket number DC 251535, you pled guilty to amended charge of disturbing the peace, in which the court deferred the imposition of sentence and added special conditions of probation that you complete an anger management program, that you complete the court's effective decision-making school, that you remain arrest and conviction free, and that you remain drug and alcohol free and remain away from criminal conduct. The court ordered that the subject pay a fine of $100 and $225 court, stay out of all barges and nightclubs. How do you plead to that?
Guilty, statement, sir. Hold on. Now, excuse me. That's the, violation, right?
Right.
Yes, sir. Guilty with a statement, sir.
Statement, okay. We'll get back to that one shortly.
Yes, sir.
Condition number 5, that you shall not have in your possession or control any firearms or other dangerous weapons. It was alleged that you were in possession of a firearm on 1/11/25 due to the nature of what we just talked about. How do you plead to that?
Not guilty, sir.
All right, and condition number 10, that you pay supervision fees, payments due the first day of each month, and that you're in arrears amount of $252. How do you plead to that?
Guilty with a statement, sir.
All right, let's go back to the case is assigned to me, so I'll be asking the questions and casting the first vote today.
Yes, sir.
Let's go back to condition number 4, with all the charges of the murder and the firearm and the illegal use of a weapon. What do you pled guilty with a statement? Let's hear the statement.
No, sir, I plead guilty. I was asking whether I pleading guilty to like being at a club. That's what I thought you was asking me, sir.
Okay, well, let's break it down because it is kind of complicated. Were you at the club?
Yes, sir. Guilty.
Okay. And I guess when it comes down to the second part of the charges where it got you with all the charges that were dismissed, you plead not those.
Not guilty,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
And then when it comes down to you pled guilty to the disturbing the peace as part of the plea bargain.
Yes, sir.
Pleading guilty to disturbing the peace, correct?
Yes, sir.
So basically, you're saying you disturbed the peace at a bar, but all the other stuff, no.
No, sir.
Okay. And that you were convicted of that one. You were convicted of that disturbing the peace charge.
Yes, sir.
Got a probation.
Yes, sir.
On April 8, 2025. All right. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that statement?
Yes, sir.
Explain how it went, or just to explain.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry because you keep breaking up and I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry if I got a delay.
That happens on both ends.
Oh, yes, sir. There's 2 counts of simple battery, sir. They had billed me and someone else on the same bill of information. I thought they had straightened it out. We had a copy. I think my officer have it. Ms. Doxy had it. I don't know that she had put in the files. It was 1 count of simple battery.
But you later pled guilty to disturb the peace instead of simple battery, right?
Yes, sir. I pled guilty to disturbing the peace. I heard when you had read, you said 2 counts of simple battery. They got amended down.
Yeah, that's what I said, because that's what they said, that they amended it down to simple battery. I mean, from simple battery to disturbing the peace.
Yes, sir. It went to disturbing the peace.
All right, that's what I got.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So the only thing just to make it straight, the only thing you were convicted of on all of that list of charges was 2 counts of disturbing the peace.
1 count, sir. It's supposed to be 1 count. They got me, they had put, I don't know how they did it exactly. It's supposed to be McNeely was built on the same bill of information with me and they put the charges together some type of way.
Okay.
1 count.
1 count disturbing the peace. We'll go with that. 1
Yes,
count.
sir. Thank you.
And you got a probation for it, and you haven't been released since then.
No,
to go
sir.
start that probation.
No, sir.
Okay. All right, and the rest of the details that the officer gives about that charge that you pled to the simple battery on was Agent Doxy provides offense reports from the Baton Rouge Police Department. According to those reports, the incident occurred at the local bar. The report states that you, along with others, engaged in a physical altercation with the victim, Michael Robertson. and stated that the subject, you, made the comment, "Bitch, you don't know I'm retarded," before throwing the first punch. The victim stated as he attempted to flee, the subject, you, allegedly pulled a firearm from the waistband and shot him in the leg. That's the details, but that's all of what you already denied, correct?
Yes, sir.
Right. All right. And just for the record, at that preliminary hearing where that testimony was heard, they did find probable cause based on the conviction, but not the weapon charge. Probable cause that you were convicted for the simple battery, the serving of peace.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll move on to number 5, which is the possession of the firearm by the felon. You said not guilty. What is the statement?
Not guilty, sir.
What's the statement?
Not guilty.
Right, not guilty with the statement. What's your statement?
I,
The officer said that, let me tell you what the officer said too. The subject pled not guilty, condition number 5. He denied being in possession of a weapon and stated that he did not shoot the victim. The victim reported that he attempted to flee and the subject allegedly pulled a firearm and shot him in the leg. Although the victim did sustain a gunshot wound to the leg, no weapon was recovered at the scene, nor was there any additional evidence presented in the offense report indicating that the subject was in possession of a weapon. As a result, no probable cause was found that the subject violated condition number 5. So you pled not guilty with a statement. They found you not guilty
yes, sir.
at the preliminary hearing on number 5.
Yes, sir. I did not have no weapon, sir.
Did not. All right. And then number 10, with the supervision fees, you admitted and pled guilty to not paying $252 worth of supervision fees.
Yes, sir. Guilty with a statement.
And go ahead and give us the statement.
Sir, I was up on my fees and compliance with everything up until my incarceration.
Okay. All right. Well, this one is kind of self-explanatory now that we talked it through. I don't have very many questions for you. It appears that there was something that happened over there, but you were in a bar when you shouldn't have been.
Yes, sir.
That's about, you went to the bar and shouldn't have been in the bar, which turned out bad for you. That's why they tell you don't go to bars, because
Yes,
that's
sir.
good.
I understand.
And then the other charges got dismissed, but you are guilty of pleading and being convicted of disturbing the peace, 2 counts, and getting another probation while on supervision.
Yes, sir.
So that's the extent of that. Ms. Stapleton, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
Excuse me, Mr. Danny.
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably missed what's going on, but I did want to make a statement like for the altercation, sir. I tried to de-escalate the problem, and I got drawn into the problem, sir.
That's the very next step on the paper is after
Oh, I'm sorry.
we ask you questions,
I'm
you
sorry.
get to make your statement.
All right, I'm sorry.
Very next step.
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Prater, do you have any questions for him?
No.
No
question.
All right, there we go. It's your turn. Give us a statement, your final statement about the whole thing and why you think you should not be revoked today.
Yes, sir. Sir, I went to the bar that night, sir, to celebrate with my wife for her promotion. On entering the bar, sir, we went to the back of the bar and to the very end got a little section in. Me, her, and another couple. Maybe within an hour of sitting in the bar, sir, Mr. McNeely came in. Mr. McNeely saw me, came, talked to me, was talking to me. Upon talking, within 5 minutes, a group of people coming down, which I didn't know who it was at the time, a crowd of people, males and females, and they stopped right directly in front of us. Later to find out it was Mr. Robinson. Him and Mr. McNeely started having passing words. The people who was with Mr. Robinson had grabbed him and restrained him and pushed him to the forward counter. I immediately grabbed Mr. McNeely and escorted him out the door, trying to de-escalate the problem. On going out the door, Mr. Robinson broke loose and came behind us and was restrained again at the door. I pushed Ms. McNeely further into the parking lot and calming them down while Mr. Robinson being retained on the sidewalk by the door. And at that time, Mr. McNeely agreed that he about to leave. When he agreed to leave, sir, I turned around to go get my wife from in the bar because they had locked the door for the altercation being inside. On going back to the door, the entrance, me and Mr. Robinson got an altercation, sir. When me and Mr. Robinson got an altercation, the closer I got to the door, when I made it to the door, Mr. Robinson was in front of the door. Words was exchanged, sir, and we did swing at each other, sir. And that was it, sir, with for me and Mr. Robinson altercation, sir. I didn't know who he was. He didn't know who I was. We never saw each other before. But I was trying to break up the altercation between him and Mr. McNeely, sir.
And Mr. McNeely was your friend? He was your friend, or he was a stranger?
I know him, sir. I know him. Yes, sir. Work together, sir.
How did Mr. Robinson get a hole in his leg?
Sir?
How did Mr. Robinson get shot?
Sir, honestly, if I could.
Well, then you had to hear the gunshot.
No, yes, I heard the gunshot. I'll go about to get that now, sir. When when the altercation started, they had the crowd the people who had Mr. Robinson outside by the door, they separated us. He ran towards the parking lot, sir. He ran right, and then he seen Mr. McNeely right there. So he turned around and went through the park, through the cars, some cars further down. We heard the shot. I ducked down. When I raised up, all the cars was pulling off. When I raised up, I seen a group of people, maybe 3 cars down from where we was. I walked over, I seen Mr. Robinson on the ground. Mr. Robinson was holding his leg. I looked, and at that time, the bar door was open, and I seen my wife, so I left. And sir, when I left, I get a phone call the next day, maybe around 11 o'clock, stating that X and Y was involved in the altercation. It was somebody that's related or friends with Mr. Robinson's fiance, and they told me Mr. Robinson was trying to run and trying to put, the exact words was, Mr. Robinson was drunk. He trying to run and pull a gun out of his pocket and shot himself in the leg. And they gave me the backstory between him and Mr. McNeely had a restraining order against each other. I didn't know any of that. I didn't know the whole altercation was what was going on. I just tried to de-escalate the problem, sir. Why my name got brought, why they said I had a weapon, sir, I honestly don't know.
All right. Anything else you want to say about number 4?
Sir, yeah, I honestly would have been a peacemaker, sir. I was trying to stop it, sir. I don't go around, sir, causing confusion. I'm a mentor, sir. I work with the youth, sir. I went to counseling just to try to better myself, sir. I was on the road to redemption, sir. I wasn't out there to bring harm to no one. I tried to de-escalate the problem, sir, and I thought that I did, but I didn't plan it all the way through when we was out the door, when he pursued us out the door. I just thought it was over once we separate them. I didn't have no issue with Mr. Robinson, never saw him before or anything, sir. He never saw me before. We do not know each other.
Okay. All right. We have some other, that's it?
No, sir, I just want to apologize to the board, and I throw myself at the mercy of the board, sir, asking for forgiveness for my action, from being disobedient, from being at the board in the first place, because none of this would never occur. But sir, I promise you, sir, that I really apologize to the board and everybody who was affected by this matter. And sir, I'm willing to do whatever it may take to get back in good standards, sir, whether it's community service, counseling, classes, a GPS mounted tractor, whatever it may be, sir. I already was taking counselor, and sir, I'm not a violent person like that, sir. I really try to bring the peace. I'm a mentor, and I think that what got me in trouble. My mentor mentality kicked in that night, trying to separate them. I just should have stayed out of it, or that should never been there. I take full accountability for my action. I don't want to point fingers at Mr. Robinson, make him a villain, or make me a victim, sir. I apologize that it happened. And I just regret that I even got pulled in it, and I just hate that everyone was affected by it negatively.
So let me just ask you this. You realize now I'm sure when you read your conditions of parole, you looked at it and you said, don't go around a bar or lounge. No, it's not
Yes,
that
sir.
big of a deal, you know, and you went. And
Yes,
now, looking at going to jail for however long, and the problem is because you was in a bar. You know, that's why they put those conditions on there, so that y'all don't go, because there are drunk people over there who do dumb things,
Yes, sir.
including you when you get there.
Yes,
You
sir.
know,
I totally
that's
agree.
the whole point of it. It's a serious condition, and you might need to consider taking it serious.
Yes, sir. I totally agree, sir. And I totally understand it now. I understand that the rules are in place to protect me from myself. I do understand that, sir.
Okay, well, we have some other people here who want to speak on your behalf, so we're gonna move on to them.
Yes, sir.
We have Amanda Taylor, who's a counselor who's here on through Zoom and would like to speak. Go ahead, Miss Amanda.
Good morning. So I am Amanda Taylor. I am Mr. Francis' professional counselor. So I had the opportunity to work with him for the past year as a part of a support system for him, just re-engaging into the community as well as the mental health support. And so, in just speaking on his behalf of what I've learned from him and participating in the sessions, he has definitely demonstrated growth as well as accountability throughout to work together and implement what he's learned from counseling into his actual life. And then he's also shown willingness to understand his emotional responses and taking responsibility for his behavior, along with trying to make better choices with moving forward. Some of the areas that we have worked on is, of course, employment stability, where he definitely has stable employment. He takes pride in being dependable and understands his value of work. His fatherhood and family reconnection. He has been more involved with his children along with his wife, and he's been intentional about learning how to parent more effectively, as well as navigating his own life transitions and his emotional stress. And then, of course, also starting to implement conflict resolutions, as well as addressing any anger management due to prior things. And so, of course, even one of the things as a support that we will implement is him taking a anger management program upon his release as well. But a lot of our sessions have been exploring the roots of his anger, the impact that it has on relationships, as well as any other strategies for emotional regulation when he may find himself in various situations, whether it's with his children, his spouse, and anyone else. He's also completed the basic assessments that we normally do when it's counseling, which is called the PHQ-9, and the GAD-7, which is your depression and your anxiety assessments. We kind of do those every 6 months. He's made a significant improvement where the numbers have went down, which still indicate that he has a need for continued therapeutic support, but especially during this process. But he has definitely shown overall good insight and responsive intervention for seeking weekly sessions with me and demonstrating his growth as well as his ownership of his actions. So I believe that he has the tools to succeed and thrive and he's able to reconnect with his family as well as implement ongoing therapy and the anger management sessions.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your input.
You're welcome.
All right, we have another person in support, Tawana Johnson, a niece who would like to speak through Zoom. So, Ms. Tawana, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good morning, board. How y'all doing today? Thanks for the opportunity this morning to be able to speak on Frank's behalf. Of course, what you just said, I am his niece. Although I'm his niece and he's my uncle, we grew up as brothers and sisters. So I just wanted to shine a little light on Frank's character He's been a supportive person in my life, not only just my life, but my children's life through our ups and downs and everything. In addition to that, Frank has also accomplished a lot of things for himself, or as being able to hold employment to care for himself, his family, and his mom, who's up in age, my grandmother. Frank has also married a beautiful lady. They've been married for 2 years. So he's building his life and himself back on the right track. Frank has also been participating in outreach programs with the youth, doing many conversations. He's happy about the group that he started, prayer group that he started where he is in EPR Parish Prison, where they pray every night, where he's providing a positive place for people to come and get prayer and things like that. And lastly, I just want you guys to know that Frank has a daughter that is about to graduate in 2 days. So I'm asking, it was a pleasure that he can come home and attend his child, his first daughter, graduating high school in 2 days. I could go on and on, but I know time is limited. So I would like you guys to hear my sincere plea, and I thank you for allowing me to speak on his behalf today.
Thank you for coming and sharing with us. We appreciate that. All right. Next up, we have Danielle Carter, his wife, who's going to speak through Zoom. Ms. Carter?
Good morning.
Good morning.
First, I would definitely like to sincerely apologize for everything that has happened. And I definitely understand the seriousness of the situation, not only as someone who loves Frank, but also as a mother and a wife. I take this matter very seriously. Like the counselor and his niece just stated, Frank definitely actually has showed tremendous growth over the last past couple years. And also, too, he definitely has maintained steady employment. Upon his release, he also has his job still waiting on him as well, too. Of course, he is actively participating with the youth. He definitely counsels and mentors them when he's actually off work. Also, too, he's definitely committed to continuing on his upward growth. One thing I can say, Frank definitely has a strong support system behind him. So we're all definitely here and definitely committed to make sure that he stays on this path. And again, I definitely apologize to everybody that was affected with this incident. And I'm just asking for grace and mercy today to kind of look at the steps he has taken over the last couple of years to better himself and get back in good graces. And again, I definitely pray and hope that he's also able to come home to see his daughter graduate on this coming Thursday. She has graduated with honors as well, too. So I know it'd be a blessing for him to actually come home and to see his daughter. And it'll make everybody day. Thank you for allowing me to speak on his behalf today.
One question. If we release him, he's going home to live with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. That's all the people that we had that wanted to speak in support. We have one person who wants to speak in opposition, and that would be Mr. DeMichael Robinson. Mr. Robinson, would you tell us what you have to say? Go ahead.
You must be on mute.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What do you have to say regarding our decision to revoke Mr. Johnson's parole?
After hearing all of that, I was once in law enforcement or whatnot, but after hearing all of that, honestly, we all human. Some of those things that was stated wasn't accurate, but we all human. I just hope everybody learns something from this situation. And I have nothing negative to say. I don't know you, Frank Johnson, but I just hope that everything goes well and everybody can live. I don't have anything negative to say at this moment, but That's about it.
All right, well, thank you very much for sharing that. Okay, I guess if we have no more questions from the board members, it's time to vote. Anybody question Mr. Stapleton, Mr. Prater? All right.
I think we would be not doing our duty if we didn't ask the one question of Mr. Robertson. Did this fella shoot you?
Yes, sir.
You saw him with a gun?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all I got.
But I guess the judge didn't, and everything else didn't go. So
Well, the judge wasn't there, but
it wasn't that I wasn't notified about the charges as well. It's
okay.
my first time hearing anything.
All right, thank you.
All right, we're ready to vote. The case is assigned to me, so I'm gonna cast the first vote. And I'm gonna vote to reinstate your parole. And note that the victim has no opposition to it. And I'm gonna add a condition that you be placed on electronic monitoring for the first 6 months after you get out, with a curfew of 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. except for work. If you have a job, you're gonna get that approved with your parole officer to go to work during those hours. That you get a substance abuse evaluation and you follow any recommendations that they have. And that you do the anger management course that your counselor was talking about. And I'm one vote, but that's how I voted down today.
Thank you.
Stephen?
I'm going to concur with Mr. Barra. I was thinking about asking the question that Mr. Prater asked, that the man that was shot, who shot him, because he sure got shot. And you tell a totally different story, but I'm going to go with Mr. Prater and Mr. Barra and his recommendations.
Thank you, man.
Mr. Prater?
Was a parole hearing, it would be a different story. And I'd listen to what the victim had to say, and his forgiveness and all of that business would make a big difference. But we're talking about a revocation. And if he violated rules of the state of Louisiana that we put on him, and I think it's, in my mind, I think it did happen. My vote would be to revoke, but I don't have the votes to win it. So looks like he's gonna get it, but my vote is to revoke.
All right. So it's your lucky day, because it only takes 2 votes to get, it takes 2 votes, doesn't have to be a unanimous for a revocation hearing. So today your parole is gonna be, let me change that, reinstated.
Thank you.
But this is your last final chance.
Yes, sir.
Don't be going to no bars, lounges, and follow every condition the way you're supposed to. And because you don't know how close you are to.
Yes, sir. Thanks each and every last one of y'all. Thank you.
Good luck to you. So this concludes our business today at East Baton Rouge Prison with Mr. Frank Johnson. No, with Mr. Frank Johnson. We're gonna have another hearing shortly.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Should I grab this paper? Hold on.
Good morning, Dad.
All right, can you hear me?
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, sir. I can hear you, boss man. How you doing this morning?
All right, we're doing good. All right, the Committee on Parole is called to order. Today's date is May 20th, 25. We're resuming our hearings back at East Baton Rouge Parish Prison. Ms. Stapleton is my colleague on the left. I'm Danny Barra, and Mr. Prater is with us through Zoom.
How you doing?
We have you, Mr. John Johnson, and we know we have Mr. Murphy there from East Baton Rouge. So everybody's there. Can you're the only one different. Can we get your name and DOC number for the record?
Yes, sir. John Johnson, 40-31-52, sir.
Right. And looks like at the preliminary hearing with your probation officer, you were found not eligible appointed counsel because you could read and write and understood the nature of the proceedings. And if that is correct, you understand what's going on?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and read some violations to you. And I'm going to ask you to plead either guilty with a statement, not guilty, or not guilty with a statement. In other words, you can explain either one both ways. Looks like you have 3 different violations. The first one being that I will live at the address on my parole certificate, and if I must move from the address, I will get permission from the parole officer before doing so. In addition, I will not leave the state of Louisiana without written permission from the parole officer. Agent West alleges that you violated this condition and that you were issued a travel permit to Texas valid from 7/2/24 to 8/2/24, but didn't return after that permit expired. Agent West provided the travel permit at the preliminary hearing. She also noted that speaking with your family at the address of 3024 Voss Drive, that they indicated that you were in Texas after the permit expired. And Agent West also provided a rap sheet indicating that you were arrested by Harris County office on 4/2/25 for assault of a family member, impeding breath circulation. And that ask you how do you plead to those violations there?
I plead guilty with a statement, sir.
All right. We're gonna come back to that one shortly. Guilty with a statement. All right, condition number 4 says that you will not be engaged in any kind of criminal activity or associate with persons who are known to be involved in criminal activity, and that you avoid bars and casinos, and that you refrain from using illegal drugs and alcohol. Agent West alleges that the subject violated the condition as evidenced by his arrest on 4/2/25 by Harris County Constable's Office for an assault on a family member pursuant or a household member by impeding breathing or circulation. How do you plead to that one?
That's the same charge. Guilty.
Yeah, well, the first charge had more to do about being out of the state without permission. This is more specific about the charge with the family member.
Okay, guilty, sir.
Guilty to that one? Number 4, that you were involved with that? And then number 10, that you will pay supervision fees in amount set by the Department of Public Safety and Corrections, and that you admitted to being in violation and hasn't paying anything on fees, but could pay now, that you're $821 behind. How do you plead to that one?
Guilty, sir.
All right. I'm the lead guy in your case, so I'm gonna be the one reviewing the questions with you. On that number 3, you pled guilty with the statement. And that was the one about being out of state without permission or after your travel permit expired. What do you want to tell us about that one?
Okay, I was issued a travel permit and I went and came back and I was issued again, which is the one you're talking about. And I went and I did return. I had caught a charge that was a misunderstanding. You should have a written statement or affidavits there that got the charges dismissed and thrown out. And I was returned back to BR because I couldn't stay in Texas after I caught the charge because I was wanted for assault charges. So, sir, when I get back to Baton Rouge, I called Miss West, which she did document for you, and I explained that to her, and I just needed time. I was scared, so I wanted to get the charges fixed because it was a charge that I was lied on, and I just needed time to get that straight. I wasn't trying to. It was really a misunderstanding. I wasn't trying to get in Miss Agent way or nothing because she kept giving me passes. So, you know, I am guilty for going back down there, but I only went back down there, sir, just to get the charges straight, which I did and got them dismissed. So it wouldn't be a problem in front of the board or for Miss West, sir. That's all it was. It was really a misunderstanding if you ask me, sir, and I am sorry, and I don't want to go to prison behind no situation that I feel just was small. My child was caught with a grown man in the house, and you know, and it got the best of me, and I whooped her. Authorities got involved. She felt some type of way. You know how these kids is nowadays, and it was more to the story that was lied on, and she got it straight, and we got all that straight, sir. And I'm sorry if I waste y'all time with the situation. Everything else I'm guilty of, and I can't pay the money. It was no problem. I got these children running behind me. I'm trying to work and juggle all this at the same time.
So you came back after the August 2nd, 24 travel permit expired, but you went back again.
No, after I came back on time, I just ain't never get in touch with Agent West, so she figured I was still down there because she pulled up at a family member house. He posted a son two documents verifying that I was there. Miss Agent never returned back to the resident to even know I was there, and I ain't know it was my job to keep checking in with the parole officer. I thought it was their job to check in with me. Now I can say when it was time to finalize the affidavits that I was lied on with the charges, I went back down there. And in the course of me down there trying to finalize that, so y'all don't be mad at me, I got arrested on a traffic stop, and here I am now today, sir. That was just going back down there to try to straighten the situation back up. And I got the situation straightened back up. I just got arrested on a traffic stop in the process of doing so, sir.
And that was on April the 2nd when you went back.
No, to be honest with you, I went back a couple of days before because the workforce place, the notarized the affidavits was still closed. And April the 2nd, on my way to return back to Baton Rouge, I got stopped speeding. That's being honest. I went back a couple of days before.
But you were back over there in Harris County and got arrested by them while you didn't have a travel permit on that round.
No,
you had it before, but you didn't have a travel permit then.
And that's when I ain't have it then. That's when I did return back. I was back in BR on time when she said I violated travel permit. I pleaded guilty because I did violate it by going up there trying to straighten it up towards April the 2nd when I got caught on the travel permit. I admit that.
Okay, so let me understand this right. You deny that you violated being over there on the expired travel permit from after 8/22/24. You're saying you came back, but you didn't tell her you were back.
Yes, sir.
But your family member, hold on, let me finish. But your family members, when she talked to them, said they thought you were still there. That's what led her to get a warrant. So she got a warrant for you for not coming back. Then you went back to try to take care of your business sometime in April of 2025.
Yes, sir.
Without a travel permit. And that's when you got arrested by Harris County.
Yes,
then.
sir.
And
yes,
that's
sir.
when you admitted at the preliminary hearing back then that you do admit to being in Texas without permission.
Yes,
handling
sir.
personal stuff after the permit.
Yes, sir. That's being honest, sir. Yes, sir. That's what happened.
Okay, so that would mean that you were out of state without a permit for the second part, but not for the first.
Yes, sir. And I admit that. And I'm
right.
not disputing that. And Agent West, it was a good parole officer. I'm not, and she ain't do nothing wrong, sir. I'm just being, all I'm saying is, I don't want to go to prison. I'm sorry. It was just a little small mistake that I got taken care of.
All right, well, we can move on to the next one. That kind of clears that one up. The second one, where you are not be engaged in any criminal activity, and you claimed you were guilty to the second one. I asked you about it the first time. At the preliminary hearing, you said you were not guilty, and you pled not guilty because you advised that these charges were dismissed.
The charge was dismissed. The only reason I said I was not guilty at the preliminary hearing because it was confusing. Because the first question you asked me, like you got arrested, then you got arrested. You see how you asked me the first question, you asked me the same question in the same sense of the charge.
They kind of overlap a little bit. I understand that.
Yes,
so
sir.
basically, you're saying when it comes down to condition number 4, specifically the criminal activity, which involved the assault on a family member by impeding breathing or circulation, you said you pled not guilty then, but you pled guilty today, even though that charge was dismissed.
I only pled guilty because that charge really happened. I did whoop her and I was arrested for the charge. So I am guilty. I thought I was being honest.
Okay.
Yes.
But you wasn't convicted of it. It was later dismissed.
Yes, sir. It was
at her request?
Yes, sir. It was all dismissed. It was all a misunderstanding. You know how children get bad and they lie and she sent you an affidavit. You should have it, a report.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that condition number 4, what you call the misunderstanding that you say you did get physical with her and you did whoop the man.
Okay,
Tell us about that whole thing.
okay, I got up. I heard noise. Really, I smelled marijuana. So I get to the room door and I sneak and hurry up and open the door. And they got a grown man in there. So when I see the grown man, I automatic told him, get the hell out of my house. But I call the police. And by me just getting out of prison, I thought discipline a child, a belt or a switch. So I grab a belt and whoop her. So by the dude seeing me whoop her and her friend, one of her girlfriends, I guess what she later told me, she felt embarrassed because I whooped her in front of them. And the neighbors called the police. So after the police got involved, by her feeling embarrassed, she just crying, telling the police all kind of stuff that resulted in the police feeling like child services should have been involved. So when child services get involved, that's why I told you I was guilty for it, because the charge really happened. She just told them all a bunch of lies. So when she told them a bunch of lies, by me being just getting out of prison, I'm scared. So now they looking for me. I can't be nowhere around her, and they got a warrant. So I ain't got no choice but to come back to Louisiana. That's what I was telling Agent West. You got me wrong right there. I ain't got no choice but to come to Louisiana because I'm wanted in Texas, and I don't know nothing about Texas. So I run back to Baton Rouge. I told my older brother where I stayed, where I paroled at on Vault Street, 3024. He told me to contact Agent West, let your parole officer know, and I did. And if you call her, she'll tell you right now. I called and I told her, she said, come in and let's talk about it. So my thing with that there, boss man, why I go to the parole officer right now if I'm wanted for aggravated charges, she gonna automatically have to do her job. So I'm forced to duck her and hide out at my brother's house on Ball Street until we finalize the paperwork. So when I do turn myself in, which I never got a chance to do because I got pulled over, thank God we had sent the paperwork in before that. The situation got clear. I never did, all I did was pop her like 2 or 3 times. She crying and embarrassed, so she told the police all kind of lies, which resulted in the police doing everything they do with the charges and stuff. I never had my hand on. I only whooped it like 2 or 3 times to try to jack her cell phone out of her hand. You got a grown man in the house. I ain't know what I was doing. I thought I was doing the right thing, to be honest with you. I thought I was doing the right thing. That's why I say it was a misunderstanding. I ain't never think I'd be all the way deep in trouble like this here. It all transpired for just whooping a child. I whooped my child. It's my child. She got a grown man in the house. She snuck in the house.
Gotcha.
That's all it was, boss man. Other than that, it wasn't no problem. She had gave me multiple passes. If you look at the paperwork, she did some of the texts. I came back on time. Some of the texts again, this situation happened. And think about it. After doing 13 years in Angola, I'm scared. So I'm automatic gonna spook out, but I did call her. That's all it was, boss man.
All right. Let's move on to condition number 10 about the money that you were $821 behind. And you also told them at the preliminary hearing you admitted to the violation, but advised that you hadn't been paying on fees, but you could pay now. What if you could pay now, why you didn't pay then?
Because with the churn and me jugging everything going on, by me being locked up now, the dude that I'll be working for, a best friend in Baton Rouge, they got a lawn service, Eric Bell, he told me, man, look, I'll put you to work and you can get all that money together and pay them people if it's gonna be all that there with them locking you up. So I told Agent West, I said, the money ain't no problem. Because I got friends, got their own loan companies. My sister husband own one too. I can go right out there and pay it. And you can personally give me a date that's suitable to how we get paid cutting grass, and I would meet your demands personally. And the children just have to wait.
All right. That about says it all for there. All right, we do have Miss Jonisha Lee, your daughter, who was here and wants to testify through Zoom. So let's hear what she has to say about the whole situation.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
I am Janasia Lee. John Ashley Johnson is my father, and I am here today on his behalf to let y'all know what was going on, the situation that happened between us, and that I did drop the charges between me and my father, and that I am so sorry for putting him in this situation because he is a good father, and me and my siblings miss him for the past 13 and a half years that he been gone. I did tried to leave the house when I caught a whooping because I did feel embarrassed and neighbors did call the police on him. So that was that. If you have any questions.
Well, how badly were you beaten?
Sir?
How badly did he beat you?
He didn't beat me.
What happened? Exactly.
We was smoking, me, the guy, and my friend, and I guess he smelled the smoke and he came up in the room and he told the guy to get out the house, and he tried to take my phone and I didn't want to give him the phone, and then he pulled out his belt and whooped me for a little bit, and I felt embarrassed and tried to leave the house. The neighbors was all in our business. They called the police because I was showing out. You could say that I was showing out in front of them because I felt embarrassed.
How old were you when this happened? And the man that was in there, because he said a grown man with his daughter. So what's the age?
I was 16.
How old was the man?
He was 20.
Oh, 16 and 20. Okay, I was wondering about.
He was like 21, 22.
All right. We don't have any other witnesses that want to speak. We don't have any lawyer to speak. No DA. Already asked my questions. Okay, Ms. Stapleton, do you have any questions for Mr. Johnson?
No, sir, not other than, no, you've covered it.
Mr. Prater, do you have any questions for Mr. Johnson?
No, I don't have any questions.
All right. Is the board ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
You ready? All right. Case is on me. I vote first. Today, I vote to reinstate your parole, place you on electronic monitoring for 6 months with a 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew, and order you to complete an anger management class and a parenting class, and that you pay $200 per month on your parole fees until you're caught up. That's my vote. That's only one person. Ms. Stapleton?
Yes, and I did see where the parole officer did have a statement in here that those charges were dismissed also that you were saying. I did see that. I'm going to concur with Mr. Barra. He's got a lot of years of parole, and he knows, I trust his opinion on things too. And so I'm going to concur with Mr. Barra.
And Mr. Prater.
So I concur, but I'd like to just make a statement. One thing is to tell the young lady that how important it is. You can't be lying just because you're embarrassed. You cost a lot of money to the state and a lot of money to the people that made the call and a lot of grief to your dad just because you decided to lie. And there are charges that could be brought against you in certain circumstances for lying. And so you need to keep that in mind next time you decide to lie on somebody. And the other thing we'd like to say, Mr. Chairman, is that normally in these situations, we have the police report in which we can determine if there were injuries and a little bit more about it. In this case, we didn't have a police report or anything from Texas. I don't know why that was. But normally just the mere fact that the case was dismissed does not carry the weight that it has this morning. But I'm going to concur with the two of you and not revoke his parole, but I just wanted them to know those two facts that this is a very serious matter to me. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so what this means is your parole has been reinstated. You you dodged the bullet, and you're gonna be put back on supervision with those added conditions I told you earlier. And we wish you good luck. This will conclude our business today at East Baton Rouge Prison with at 12:20